What I thought I would do is, in my world with music supervisors, about why you have a hard time getting through to them or why you have to earn their trust, and why it's so difficult to connect with music supervisors, I'm going to show you, and I came up with a little story to help illustrate that. Okay, so here's the story. This is the licensing world, okay? In the licensing world, there's a cloud, okay? Here's the cloud. This cloud is cloud 9. That's where everybody wants to get to, right? You want to get there, I want to get there, everyone wants to get their music up there. Why is that? Because on cloud 9, music supervisors live there. That's where the music supervisors live, on cloud 9. Okay, now in this land of music licensing, there are also these mountains. So these are the mountains in the land of music licensing under cloud 9 where the music supervisor lives. Now there's some people who live at the top of the mountains. Over here, we have, let's say, top-end libraries, not the low-end ones, the high-end ones. Here, we're going to have licensing agents. And over here, we are going to have labels and publishers. So because the mountain peaks are the closest to cloud 9, this is the closest point where lightning strikes. Music supervisors want to deal with the people on top of the mountains. Why is that? The reason is because all of these people filter the music. They're like a quality control for music. And they also make sure that they give them what they're looking for. When music supervisors say, I need this kind of song, they can do this lightning connect with a label and say, I need this song. Label sends a song and says, they're like, great, that's targeted. Thank you very much. Now, you guys, most of you aren't in top-end libraries. You don't have licensing agents and you don't have label deals. Where are you in this world? You guys live down here. You guys are the valley people. That's all you guys down here. Now, music supervisors do not like dealing with valley people. I'm going to tell you why. Because the scoop is that they don't trust you. They don't trust that you understand what clearance is, if you know what is demanded for sync in terms of quality, how to write your music or pick your songs. They don't know if you know how to target it correctly. And sadly, almost all musicians who do this for the first time do not understand that. So those are all the reasons they don't trust you. Now, how do you get up here, right? So there's two options, right? There's two options. One, you can put on your mountaineering gear and you can climb up a mountain. You can go up the mountain like a mountaineer. It takes a lot of work and time and effort, get into the cold weather, and you can get up and get yourself into a top-end library if they accept you. You can do the same thing with a licensing agent. You can do the same thing with a label. You can go after a label deal, right? Or get a publishing deal. And then they can pitch your music for you and you don't have to do anything. Downside of that, of course, is they take a big cut of it. And then the other downside is that you're not in control of whether they're pitching your music. And lastly, you can't build your reputation. So it's very difficult to build your reputation when a label, for example, is pitching your music. Let's use another example, say a licensing agent. That's a better example. The licensing agent has maybe 200 people on their roster or something, artists. They're pitching music all the time, right? So your name is Sarah, and Sarah, you're in the roster, and suddenly your song gets licensed, right? You get your song up there and it gets licensed. You're like, awesome, that's amazing, right? You go with your friends, you have some drinks, you have dinner. It's amazing. You watch the show or the movie or the ad or whatever it's in. You're high-fiving. You get a check. You get some royalties. Woo! Amazing, right? Problem is, the next time the music supervisors ask your licensing agent for a song, do you think that they're going to ask for your song? They don't know you. They only know the licensing agent. Sure, your name was on the contract, but they don't remember it. They don't know you. They know the licensing agent. They think the licensing agent is awesome, not you, right? So they're going to ask the licensing, do you have another song for us? Licensing is sure. Licensing agent has 200 artists, a few thousand songs in the roster. The odds of your song being picked are very low. They pick another song. Music supervisor says to the licensing agent, awesome, dude. Thank you. That's amazing. That's the story. Then you end up with one sync that year maybe, right? So the way that you want to get the trust and them to notice you is you need to get to the top of the mountain in a different way. So I personally here in Sync Songwriter came up with a 5-step plan to do that, right? And these, I wish I could make it 2. I wish I could make it 3. that these are the same exact roadmap steps that work for me all the time. I teach it, they work, I keep teaching it, right? And the first one, the first thing you need to do is targeting. So when you target your music, that means that you're sending the music supervisor what they need when they need it. So for example, here's an easy one, right? An easy way. You figure out your music fits well in a certain show. So happens your music sounds a lot like a lot of the music that they placed this year. And the show is re-airing, right? Next year. They're going to start shooting again. You find that out. You study the music that was in the previous, this year's series, and then you pitch it to the music supervisor for next year's, because they're probably looking for the same kind of music, right? So that you know that. That's one way, just one way to target. There's a bunch of them. And that's how you can get music supervisors what they're looking for when they're looking for it. And as Michael is going to tell you a bunch of times too, you're trying to make their job easier, right? That's the whole purpose. So targeting is step one. Next one is writing. Now you either write for sync, so you either write to get a song into sync, or you pick your song that's already been written and you target it. Now there's certain things in the writing aspect of like universal lyrics, certain things that work, certain things that don't work in that writing aspect. And just very quickly, I'll touch on this later, but music supervisors, the good news for you, music supervisors actually like original music. They prefer it over people who write for sync because it comes from the heart for them. They love supporting indie songwriters. So don't get it wrong that they don't like you. They don't want to deal with you, right? When you're down here. They love indie music. Music supervisors were musicians or grew up in music themselves, right? So they love indie songwriters. They love original music. The trick is targeting it and then picking it correctly. The next step is production. That goes without saying. All your music has to sound as good as everything else getting into TV and film. There's no shortcut to that. You have to do it. There's certain production things that work, some that don't. For example, horns are difficult sometimes because they're a mid-range instrument. They can interfere with dialogue. There's a bunch of little tricks about that you should avoid or that you can do to enhance your music for that. The next one is vetting. That means that you use an old trick that movie studios have, is that you have a group of people tell you some things about your music that help you understand how to target it. Now, we're not all the best judges of our music. What your mom loves isn't necessarily the right music maybe to submit for sync. Maybe it is, but your mom loves everything that you do, right? She's never going to say anything bad about you. You need honest criticism and honest opinions about what it is. I didn't invent this. This is an old trick used by movie studios with focus groups. People use surveys. Companies use it all the time in their marketing. I just borrowed it and it was like brilliant, right? It's literally like taking a friend, clothes shopping with you. They can go, that looks better on you. That looks not so hot on you. We all love that opinion, right? That's exactly what vetting is. Very critical stage. The last one is pitching. Now look where you are. You're at the top of the mountain. Pitching means how do you get your music to the music supervisors? What's the email, right? I have an email template people get. There's all this other stuff. But how do you get your music into their hands? It's through pitching. And there's a bunch of ways to pitch and some things that you can't do or you're going to just kill your career, right? You're going to burn the bridges. So that's exactly how you earn the trust of music supervisors, by following these steps that all go together to earn the trust of music supervisors. Once you're up here, you are in a level playing field with these people. And I'll just add during the pitching thing, one big thing is sounding like a pro, speaking like a pro, knowing the lingo, knowing what 200% means, knowing what one stop means, knowing about metadata. Mike's going to get into that in a second. Knowing all of this stuff is critical for them to treat you seriously and not like the fact, I love these guys, but I don't want to deal with them. I'm afraid I might lose my job because they're going to screw it up for me. I'm going to get fired by the showrunners. Music supervisors need to find the best song for the individual production. So there you have it. That's the macro view of how it works and how you can connect with music supervisors in sync songwriter world by getting to the top of this mountain and learning how to do all these things properly, and especially the pitching part.